When it released, the GTX 1080 Ti was the absolute creme de la creme of Nvidia's lineup and graphics cards at the time in 2017. It absolutely destroyed everything else on the market performance-wise, other than Nvidia's Titan or whatever it was available. And to be honest, I think everyone in the that was interested in tech back then wanted one of these. Now today they've come down quite significantly in price, and you can pick up a broken one, as I did, for around £50. But can we fix it? Well, let's find out today. And anyway, without further ado, roll the title. Sup guys, so as I've said, today we're going to be looking at fixing the GTX 1080 Ti. Now, when it came out, as I said, this was the absolute top tier of Nvidia's lineup, well, consumer lineup, and was rather expensive as such. Now they've dropped in price, and especially broken ones can be found for very cheap on the used market. But what are they like, and what are the issues that are usually associated with them? Well, this card that we've got here has got rather crippling artifacting issues. So there's a clip running now, I believe, that is going to show you rather in depth these artifacting issues. Now this was just after a run of 3D Mark. I'd closed 3D Mark, went to reopen it, and this happened. Now as you saw earlier, the card is stable sometimes when booting into Windows. Windows desktop, it's usually fine, and sometimes it'll launch into games as well. Now, this kind of gave me some false hope when I first got the card, to be honest. I thought it'd just be, flashing new VBIOS maybe, corrupted VBIOS, who knows. But no, it was quite a bit worse than that, and to be honest, it isn't really a fixable card. But I'm going to roll the one block of footage that I have where it was working absolutely flawlessly now, which was a run of 3D Mark Time Spy, and it got through it, no issues, all stock clocks, everything, and this was really what gave me the false hope. I'm sorry if the footage on screen here doesn't look super smooth, but it was running marvellously. Now, in Time Spy, the result was about 80% higher than what we'd expect from an RTX 3050, or what we got when we tested the RTX 3050 a few videos ago. Now, I ran through this run thinking it had artifact, and then on the screen you can see me showing the two different graphics cards that we're going to be looking at in future videos. So we got a GTX 1060 and a Radeon RX 570, both of which were broken with different faults, and both of them have been far more successful, by the way, than trying to fix this 1080 Ti. So here, run completes, and it's all good, but, well, it's not all good. This was what gave me false hope, as I said. But anyway, good score, decent score, especially for a card that is essentially on its last legs. Now, for the next test that I ran on the card, I knocked the core and the memory both down to the lowest they'd go in MSI Afterburner. Now, ironically here, this is where we ran into issues. So first off, again, running Time Spy, and after a few minutes, the card went kaput. You'll see the artifacting on screen here in a second, and it was, well, the computer locked and then had to shut down. It was a hard reset situation. Now, obviously, this was the first sign that not all was going to go to plan today. So after rebooting the card, well, the system, to be fair, and running 3D Mark, we got through it fine. This was all right. And then, as I was just on the screen at the end, showing the result, now this was with the clocks completely nuked for both the memory and the core, the system crashed. Artifacting again, and it was, again, had to be hard reset. Now, it was at this point where I realised, right, there's definitely something wrong with this card. I mean, obviously. So first off, I went online using NV Flash, and I flashed the original copy of the BIOS from Asus for this card. By the original, I mean like just to make sure, the latest version of the original BIOS for the card. Now, along with this, I went away and also changed the thermal pads on the memory. Obviously, in taking apart the graphics card, I changed the thermal paste. and also just gave it a bit of a clean with some isopropyl alcohol. Now, I did those 2 steps, so the flashing the BIOS and then cleaning the card in 2 different steps. After flashing the BIOS, the artifacting stayed, and then obviously went away, cleaned the card, and that didn't help. So it was at this point where I was thinking, okay, there isn't really much I can do here. But we persevered. And to be fair, it did actually yield a couple of results that were semi-entertaining. We managed to do something with it. So yeah, stay tuned for that. I'd been testing the card for a couple of days and not much had been working. So I came back, put it in the cheap PC build we've been doing on this channel, where we have the Xbox 360 and then the Xbox One competitor builds. And it worked. It installed the drivers. It was perfect. So on the screen here, you're going to see me running and playing Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and it ran. It was perfectly fine. The card was absolutely screaming. The fans were running quite severely, and you're going to hear a clip of that in a second, which I believe possibly is the card going into a damage limitation mode. And again, led me to believe that the memory was overheating or registering as overheating. I didn't really know at this point what it meant, meaning. But I knew that the thermal pads on there were new. I knew that the thermal paste on there was new. So I honestly didn't know why the card was screaming with its fans going. So yeah. But I guess it was quite nice actually to see some success in actually getting into a game. We're just here, and as you can hear, the card's absolutely screaming. Now, the core temperature, ignore the RX 6500 XT thing, is only 43 degrees, so they wouldn't be doing that. So, while it was working, we moved on to another benchmark. Here, we were running Firestrike. The card was in a state, again, where it had massively downclocked memory, so it was just a slider at the minimum on MSI Afterburner. So yeah, I think while this runs, let's have a little talk about the 1080 Ti. So it came out in 2017, I believe. It retailed for, apparently it was only $700. Now, that's a nice price considering the current lineup that Nvidia's got and their prices, hey, innit? Anyway, had 3,584 CUDA cores, 11 gigabytes of GDDR5X memory, operating off a 352-bit bus. The core had a boost clock for the reference model, anyway, of 1,582 megahertz, and the TDP was 250 watts. Now, we've got the Strix OC edition here, so that boost clock was pumped up a bit. But yeah, the card needs 2 8-pins, or at least the Strix model does. And, well, a working model evidently can still hang with current gen entry-level cards. So the RTX 3050 scored quite a bit less, I believe, in our Firestrike and 3D Mark runs the other day versus what we're seeing with the 1080 Ti. And this is a kneecap 1080 Ti, remember. This isn't even anywhere near where it should be. So, yeah. Interesting, hey. These cards, yes, they draw a lot of power and they lack DLSS and ray tracing features now. But overall, if you can find one of these for a decent price, they are still worth a shout nowadays to buy if you have the power supply for them. So as we are at the midsection, or getting towards the midsection of our 3D Mark run, you can see we're running fine. No artifacting, and no, nothing. Now, at this point, I was thinking, could this be down to the PCIe bandwidth? So obviously, we're running in, what's the i7 3770? I think LGA 1155, maybe, socket. And on a quite low tier motherboard for that socket. So maybe we're limited by the PCIe Gen 2 input on the motherboard. Limiting, I don't know, memory usage maybe? Or just how the functions of the graphics card? I'm not really sure. So, yeah. As you'll find out in a couple minutes though, it just wasn't any of this. I think it is, in all, the card has knackered VRAM, but I actually think the VRAM itself's fine. I think it's whatever the timing controller, whatever the module that controls the timings on the VRAM, I think it's going. Because if you can boot up into Windows, as I learned while troubleshooting this, it's fine. But in the splash screen and the the boot up screen where it's like you've got the little Windows logo going, that's when the auto-acting starts, if it's going to start, that is. So our card here is, I paid £50 for it, and to be honest, it might not work, but I'm quite happy to just have it as a GPU for a collector's item, because when I was getting into PC hardware, this was like the god tier graphics card almost. It was the one that I wanted, and obviously back then could not afford at all. And having it still put a smile on my face, you know. It might not work much. I mean, it's working for a bit now, but you know what? It doesn't matter. It's just a nice card. Now, I could actually look at retrofitting the bigger, bulkier cooler on this onto the 1060 that I mentioned I was looking into earlier in the video, because that is also a Strix version of the card, so that could be interesting to do. We'd get, well, the poor little die on the 3060. 1060 be there shivering, I think, with the bigger cooler. So yeah. Anyway, Fire Strike here. And we're getting to the end now. We should just be seeing the CPU-based test, followed by the combined test. And in the end, we got a score, spoilers here, of 28,777 on the GPU. Graphics side of things. Now, obviously, that's probably not where you'd want to be with the card, but you know what? At least we have this as a comparison point for future videos. At the least, at the absolute bare minimum, it's done something useful for the channel. Now, for the last part of this video that's actually got any meaning, I used OCCT to actually test the VRAM of the graphics card. Now, I ran it over a 35-minute period while altering the memory clocks through MSI Afterburner. And it was, again, perfectly stable. No errors were detected by the program, and it was fine. So I really was quite stumped, I think, at this point. Well, I hadn't actually been thinking about what it could be. But, yeah. It's kind of sad, to be fair, in a way, because the majority of the card works. It's probably just one chiplet somewhere that's causing these issues. And, well, yeah, it's a shame. I obviously don't have the equipment or expertise to repair that, but hey. So after running the benchmarks, I went away, opened up the card again, took it apart, and actually replaced the thermal pads on the memory. I'd only changed them over previously because you'll see in the video that there are two different types of thermal pad applied together, and I thought that could be causing some issue with the memory cooling. Put it back in the PC, and artifacting again. And that was where I decided to call it a day for the video, to be honest. Now, honestly, if you know what you're doing with one of these and you're actually good at like micro soldering, then you know what, you could probably have a go at trying to repair it. But I don't think that's feasible. However, for £50, you never know. If you want to give it a go, maybe try it, depending on, you know, what you've got to lose. I mean, to be fair, if you want to get your money back, you can probably just sell them again on eBay, because people tend to buy them, I think. So yeah. I'm going to wrap it up there today, guys. Sorry that it's not really the ending people would have wanted. I think this card does have something split in it that I'm not going to be able to fix. But I think thank you for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed a bit of a different video this weekend. And yeah, please, if you feel like it, subscribe, drop a comment down below telling me how stupid I am regarding fixing this thing. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video.